Yes, hello. This is Bill Jones from recapturefederalism.com, speaking to you from Freedom's Nest again. Freedom's Nest is wherever you have a free man or woman in the United States, around other areas of the world too, I suppose. But speaking as an American, we're talking about Freedom's Nest in America. We're going to be talking about communism again today. That's all I ever talk about is communism, because that's what it's all about. That's the evil that's in our society. Worldwide communism been going on since 1848. And as I've said before, you don't have to be a communist to be a purveyor of communist ideology. It's extension of Machiavellian, the Prince, going back to 1500s, and with the Communist Manifesto and the guidelines of the Communist Party, it's just a manifestation of Machiavellian. It's Machiavellian on steroids, and you get ISIS, you get all these other evil forces around the world. While they may not be communist, they utilize a lot of the same practices and strategies and tactical movements. And I use the word movements because it's a lot of what you have as the movements. So the civil rights movement terms, we get into that maybe a little later, talking today about the communist obligation to work and how community organizers work in doing that. When we get into this, because we're going to be talking about the national debt, the communist forced loan. That's the title and subject today. Title, national debt, the communist forced loan. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's just one item where we've gotten to in this society. Forced loan, national debt. We're not getting any help from the people we're supposed to, such as the Supreme Court justices. With that, let me go. We do administrative stuff first always. I do the oath. I, William R. Jones, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, so help me God. And as I say every time I say that, it goes back to July of 1965. I took that oath originally when I joined the United States Navy. It had already been about 5 years anti-communist. I'm an old man. I'm going to get kind of short on my patience. What's going on around the United States, around the world, matter of fact. I will support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's world communism, ISIS, evil in the world, goes under different names. They utilize tactics and strategies from Machiavelli, the Prince, and from the Communist Manifesto. Then I go read. I'm going to read my two things I always read. It's some core ideas from the Manifesto, Communist Manifesto, page 26 of the Communist Manifesto. There are besides eternal truths such as freedom, justice, and I put in there liberty, etc., that are common to all states of society, but communism abolishes eternal truth and abolishes all religion and all morality instead of constituting them on a new basis, therefore acts in contradiction to all past historical experience. Communism abolishes eternal truths, abolishes all religion and all morality. Wow. So you get the Judeo-Christian moral code, which is what the United States political and legal system is built upon. And it eliminates that, the moral code of that. They're doing a pretty good job, aren't they? And that's, of course, page 26 of the Communist Manifesto. Then I go in and page 34 of the Communist Manifesto, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper on this as we go along here. It's three paragraphs, really. First paragraph, finally they labor everywhere for the union and agreement of the democratic parties of all countries. Yeah. Labor, it's spelled the European way, L-A-B-O-U-R. For the union and the agreement of the democratic parties of all countries. That's right. Democratic parties of all countries. World communism. Then the next paragraph, we talk about overthrowing governments and societies to get them in line with world communism. The communists disdain to conceal their views and aims. They openly declare that their ends can be attained only by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. Let the ruling classes tremble at the communistic revolution. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. Working men of all countries unite. Page 34 of the Communist Manifesto. Forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions of all countries everywhere. Europe, Israel, America. They all have democratic countries in them, or parties in those countries too, don't they? Yeah. That's what they work with. Work from within. So, Mrs. Clinton and her husband, members of the Democratic Party in the United States, they're all part of the world communism, aren't they? See, I'm going to stop being nice and talking nice about it. I'm going to tell it like it is. You see the chart I got up here? It's a graphics. I've had it going for a couple years. Secret, silent American insurrection and revolutionary movement. That's what we've got going on. It's been going on for 129 years in the United States. Since May 4th, 1886, in the city of Chicago, assassinating 7 Chicago police officers. Yep. They want to tremble. And I always say, sailors don't tremble, Marines don't tremble, soldiers don't tremble, Air Forcemen don't tremble, U.S. Coast Guardsmen don't tremble, first responders, fire and police, they don't tremble either. Where do they get that from? Because they're trained not to tremble. Come down here, lower right hand corner, lower left hand corner, Federal System of America. That's based upon Federalist Papers 51. going back to 1788, I guess it was. Yes, it was February 6th and February 8th. It was in two papers. Ratification process. 85 Federalist Papers. Federalist Paper 51 is significant. James Madison believed they were written. They all wrote it, different men. Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, James Madison. They all wrote different papers. So it's not clear. Some people say that Alexander Hamilton wrote this one. I don't believe it was. I believe it's the consensus. It was James Madison. And there's a famous quote off here. But what is government itself but the greatest of all reflections on human nature? If men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You first must enable a government to control the governed, and next to place obligate it to control itself. Dependent upon the people is no doubt the primary control of government, but experience has taught mankind the necessity of auxiliary precautions. Yes, if men were angels. And the trouble, of course, men are not angels. Men have deviated from 51. Still in place. You hear people talking nowadays, especially the communists talking. Democracy, democracy. United States, according to James Madison, Federalist Papers 10. Talking about insurrection in 9 and 10 Federalist Papers. In 10, James Madison talks about democracy in America. It is not a pure democracy. In Federalist 51, there's the federal Constitution. Constitution of each state, 50 of them at presently, all under the umbrella of a confederation. We are not a democracy. That is the beauty of America and the exceptionalism of America. What you hear normally about American exceptionalism is rooted, that terminology comes from may not have originated from him, but he did express a view of American exceptionalism from Stalin. His communist propaganda and agitation. Yeah, people talk about it. We get it, of course. The American exceptionalism really comes from the Bible. Romans chapter 13. There's 14 verses there. Only one mentions Christ. That's the 14th. The other 13th are all it's all Judaism. Good government talks about it. Won't get into that today. That's for another day. But you see down there in the lower left-hand corner, Judeo-Christian moral code. You don't have that over there in the communist side. They eliminated it, didn't they? They eliminated all religions, all eternal truths, all morality. And what do we have? We're supposed to have individuality, no class warfare, but you got class warfare, the class struggle. World communism. World communism. It's all about communism, stupid. World communism, that is. And we're going to talk about the national debt. Question 18 is what comes up. Page 52 of the Communist Manifesto. What will be the course of this revolution? See, we're talking about the revolution since 1848, the World Communist Revolution. Well, yeah. See, you mentioned democracy here. They mentioned democratic constitutions. We have a Republican constitution here in the United States. The boys and the girls that are communists who think they've taken everything over. And they probably have, I believe, on a temporary basis. For you see, the laws are against them and for counter-communist psychops, people like myself, counter-communist propaganda like myself. And we get into that too, another time, another place. But we want to talk about this number one down here. This is 13 planks. First one here is one we want to talk about today. Limitation of private property through progressive taxation, heavy inheritance tax, abolition of inheritance through collateral lines, brothers, nephews, etc., forced loans, etc. That's how you want to control people. You control the economics, the politics, the political science, the psychology of markets. You control it all. And they want you to believe that they're really, really super-hearted people. And they really want to control for the benefit of those people who are proletarians, the lower class. And the ruling class, which is the middle class, and you want to beat them down to where they're all just one lower class. And then the control. Well, who controls it? The masters. The communist masters. Just like you have in communist China. All the people making the money and the heads of the party. That's what you have with Hillary Clinton right now and former President Bill Clinton. All that money they have in their foundation. All that money they have in their foundation. But they want you to believe that they're for the working class. They want their votes, enough to get their votes. It's all they need to do. But private property through progressive taxation, that's progressivism, by the way. And they're communists too, progressives. Socialist, Bernie Sanders. Socialist. Hillary Clinton, the communist. Obama, the communist. They've been communists going back all the way to at least Roosevelt, the solid 100% communist. Other ones before that, progressives back there, Teddy Roosevelt and them. Yeah. Forced loans, that's what they... National debt. So we all owe money. Now, we didn't approve that. That was put into place by people who say they're representing the working class or the ruling class, which they're not. They're representing themselves. It's the Democratic Party, which is a criminal enterprise. Yeah, criminal enterprise. Puts in forced loans there. Now, really, we should be suing them and making them pay for the loans that they took out, the two political parties, the Democratic parties, the human population control movement. That's what it's all about. World communism. And how do we get to all the work? 1921, the Communist International came up with the guidelines of the organizational structure of the Communist parties and the methods and content of their work, adopted at the 24th session of the Congress of the Communist International, 12 July 1921. Oh yeah, there's 8 sections in there. There's a general section there, and here we should probably here do this first paragraph here. Bernie, 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 socialism, and Hillary, communist, and all the Democratic parties there. They're all together. They're first stages. They're different stages of the communist society. The organization of the party must be adapted to the conditions and purposes of its activity. The Communist Party should be the vanguard of frontline troops of proletariat, leading all phases of its revolutionary class struggle and the subsequent transitional period toward the realization of socialism, the first stage of a communist society. That's right, first stage of the communist society. Their stages are way gone far. They, of course, have, you saw the general one, number 1, they have 8 sections. Roman numeral 2 is democratic centralism, and all these departments you got. 3 is communist obligation to do work. That's your slogans and stuff like this, your organizers, community organizers. That's what you have, a super organizer now in there. You had worked up through the ranks for the Communist Party in the United States. A Democratic Communist Party was Obama, and obligation to do work. He did the work and indoctrinated into communism. Then he does the communist propaganda and agitation, which is Section 4. Section 5 is the organization of political struggles. 6 is the party press, and it's expanded, of course, since 1921, and includes all the media. So you have the general structure of the party organism, and then there's 8, which is a combination of legal and illegal work, which is what I put up there. A combination of legal and illegal, they are criminals. That's why I have a criminal class. One thing you should note, the last paragraph. Read the first paragraph of the guidelines of the Communist parties. Let me read the last one because it's really interesting, talking about the final struggle. The communist organizer regards every single party member and every revolutionary worker from the onset as he will be in the future historical role as soldier in our combat organization at the time of the revolution. Accordingly, he guides him to advance into that nucleus and that work which best corresponds to his future position and type of weapon. His work today must be useful in itself, necessary for today's struggle, not merely a drill which the practical worker today does not understand. This same work, however, is also part of the training for the important demands of tomorrow's final struggle. Yeah, tomorrow's final struggle. That's what it's all about. Europe, Israel, America, the world communism. That's what it's all about. Make no mistake, it's about world communism and their fellow travelers, people who may not be communists, but they utilize the same modern Machiavellian principles. Machiavellian on steroids is communism for the final struggle. Which brings us right back to the silent, secret American insurrection and revolutionary movement. Yep. Yep. That's where we're at today. Getting ready for the final solution. The final class warfare outbreak. And as I say, there's ways of getting around this, not violently, at least to start out with, until they take the violent steps. Then you have to take a counteraction of violence, the defensive mode. But other than that, we have laws that we can utilize. There's laws that are in place. They don't enforce them, and they need to be enforced. And I'll get into that another day. And with that, I suppose that'll be it for today. If you're seeing this any place other than my website, if you go to my website, subscribe, get you on a list, give you some more information when it comes available. recapturefederalism.com. recapturefederalism.com. Good day.